Madam Chairman, distinguished speakers and guests, let me first start my presentation with the Arabic phrase we used to use every time we see our fellow Muslims, that is, in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, which in English means, peace be upon you. And normally the reply would be, wa alaikum salam, which means, peace be unto you as well. So Islam is a religion of peace, but somehow what is happening in the world, because of perhaps Islamophobia, that we thought all Muslims are terrorists. So I would represent here today an academic trained in the Western world and in the Eastern world as well, to deliberate on peace building as one of our important initiatives, especially in training future leaders for the Muslim world at the International Islamic University, Malaysia. Now, due to the constraint of time, I will only concentrate on three important areas, i.e., number one, the state of the world today and where we stand. Number two, on peace building, which is the need of the hour, not just about saying about it, but act upon it. And the last would be peace building, what we are doing in IIUM. IIUM stands for the International Islamic University in Malaysia, has 5 other sisters universities. We have one in Islamabad, one in Uganda, one in Niger, one in Medina, and another one in Pakistan. So one in Malaysia. So all these 5 sisters universities are part of the 300 universities, what we call the Federation of Universities in the Islamic world. So all of us collaborated to ensure that, as mentioned by the previous professors, that education should be, education is important and should be the focus in changing the world today, because it is important that peace is shaped through education. Now, peace building leads to a sustainable future because we believe, all of us believe, and I believe as an academic as well, that we should prepare a better world for our next generation. And we will be failing what we call our amana, our responsibility, if we do not prepare a better world for our children. Next, this is the state of the world today through Dan Smith in 2013, where all these conflict areas, you see that these are the problems that we face. From Mexico and Colombia, we have drug money provides criminal cartels with weapons and powers. You see the problems in Brazil. And we have also problems in Nigeria, as you know. Police report that the group usually referred to as Boko Haram is responsible for at least 1,200 deaths since 2009. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, many insurgent groups were integrated into the country's army in 2009, and in 2012, some groups, can't see, pulled out of the national army. And we have all these conflicts. We are living in a world of conflicts. As you know that we have, from the criminal cartels in Mexico to the Abu Sayyaf militants in the Philippines, the world is becoming increasingly unsafe, and we are indeed concerned about the future of our children. The havoc of the ISIS militants in northern Iraq and Syria, and in ongoing crisis in Yemen, send shivers down our spines. And you see, as I've mentioned here, the Dan Smith, the State of the World Atlas, provides the current state of the world when it comes to armed violence. Another image shows the 2014 terrorism and political violence map, and this image presents a color-coded rating for each country and territory, which represents the level of the risk and threat when it comes to terrorism and political violence, while the red-coded jurisdictions have severe risk or threat, and the orange color-coded are high-risk jurisdictions. It is therefore pertinent to ask these mind-boggling questions. How do we get out of this labyrinth of violence and uncertainties? Ladies and gentlemen, we definitely need peace-building initiatives, not just talking about it. And I believe today's event is a step forward towards achieving such desired goals. I want to begin my speech today with an opening thought for all of us. The first question that we should ask ourselves, and which is so obvious, is what sets us apart? And this is very obvious because we are different in terms of culture, we are different in terms of political, and we are definitely different in terms of religion. But some have decided that all these differences have set us apart instead of uniting us. I will explain through my experience as a rector how we unite 120 Muslim nations under one roof, which is very difficult, very difficult. Now, my next slides talk about peace building, the need of the hour. How do we do it? We go through the cross-cultural approach to peace building and to use religious approach as well. Not just tolerance, because people talk about tolerance. We go beyond tolerance, which is mutual acceptance across religious divides through inter-religious dialogue and intra-religious dialogue. As I've mentioned, for example, in the 1980s, when we have mujahideen in Afghanistan, the Malaysian government decided to sponsor them to be educated at our university. There were 20 of them. They were taken from camps where all suffered from frostbites. They came to Malaysia not knowing a single word of English. They had to undergo 1 year of English and 1 year, basic year of trying to live peacefully with each other, the Afghans, not with the Malaysians, not with other nations. They love to fight. So whenever we receive calls from the principals of the colleges saying that there are fights between Afghanistans or between the Mujahideens, we will be rushing because the fight is not just through words, but also through arms. They carried knives along with them because they feel so unsafe. So we told them that Islam teaches peace until their belief will be complete if they love their brothers like they love themselves. But they have 1 year to understand that. So we put them in one room because their limbs are not there. They have to rely on each other to live. And we put Malaysians as well, who are not so hot-blooded. We are trained not to be hot-blooded because we come from a culture where we are more, I would say, using mediation to sort out problems. So we try to use our brothers and sisters, and we call them brothers and sisters as well, so that they feel at home. It is difficult, but alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah that after 20 years, we managed to do that. And they become leaders after they leave the country, and they become leaders to their society now. And this is our connection with them, where we build bridges with Afghanistan through them as leaders, of which they do not reflect the one sole nation, which is their country, but they have been raised for at least 6 years with 2 years of English to live at peace with 120 nations coming from the Muslim Ummah. So this is what we meant by the Ummatic approach. They have to live through instead of just talking about it. So we act upon it. So this is one of our experiences dealing with them, besides other nations as well, including the Chechens and others as well. Now, we are using the religious approach as well, where we train them in the right Islam. Because as you know, in the Muslim world, there are many kinds and many interpretations of Islam. That's the reason I totally agree that education is the only way to shape peace. Now, I've mentioned we've used the Islamic approach to peace building, where we mention to them, as one nation we belong, and we have only one Adam and one Eve. In the Quran, it is stated that we have our own national, tribal, linguistic, and color differences. These are just meant for identification. But at the heart, or very heart, we are only one. And the Quran addresses humanity as a whole in most of its verses. And this is not just a one-day program. It is a basic of 4 years. 4 years to tell them and to drum into their heart that we belong to one nation. And it is a default rule in Islam in both domestic and international relations. This peace building in the Quran, we show all the verses in the Quran in relation to peace building. IIUM adopts an integrated curriculum to promote mutual understanding. How do we do that? We have set up our International Center for the Alliance of Civilization, where we align ourselves with the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, that is UNAOC, with the core roundtable. So we get ourselves involved with the so-called non-Muslims associations, but at the same time, we remained an affiliate member of the OIC. And as an affiliate of a member of the OIC, we gain support from the Organization of Islamic, not Islamic countries, Islamic, forgot already. But basically, we set another chair for global peace, which is from the Tun Mahathir's chair for global peace. Tun Mahathir is our former prime minister of 22 years, and he has helped us as founder of the International Islamic University Malaysia. We have also prepared this chair for Professor Johan Galtung, which is named as the father of peace studies. So as the International Islamic University Malaysia, we do not just get Muslims to be holding chairs, but also non-Muslims, regardless of their religion. So the man who introduced the term peace building was invited last year to hold the chair, and he is at the university now for at least 2 years to help us in peace building. As you know, that Professor Johan Galtung has called for the creation of peace building structures to promote sustainable peace, and this was the man who introduced the term peace building in the 1970s. And we love to have him because he has helped our students who comes from various countries to understand that peace is not just in the vocab of the Islamic world. Now, future of the world, lessons that we learn from the fall of the Berlin Wall, that mutual acceptance paves way for dialogue and mutual understanding. We have the wall, and we have the invisible wall. Still is, and still will be there for a long time. But if we are positive that education can shape peace building, all of us can work together, collaborate in ensuring this to be the way forward for at least all the academic institutions in the world. We talk about Erasmus. We talk about in Turkey, I know that's the Mevlana program, and in Malaysia as well, inshallah, for ASEAN region, we are coming out with a paper for endorsement on what we call the Nusantara. So that will be like Erasmus in ASEAN, with Brunei, with Singapore, with Southern Philippines, with Southern Thailand, with Indonesia, to be part of the student and staff mobility program. And we hope to work with Erasmus and Mevlana program as well. Number two, we believe in people power, which is very paramount. But legitimate people's power is more important. We can't train many people, but what we could do is we train their leaders or future leaders of the world, at least for the next generation. We have trained 65,000 student leaders. We have trained them and prepared them for the Muslim world, and we believe with good numbers, they will form a good alumnus to help guide their people in their country to be led by seniors. So this is very important. The third one, I've been saying time and again, is people have to be well guided through proper education. As you know that in the Muslim world itself, there are many divides. We don't talk about digital divides. We talk about school of thoughts divides. We have many political divides, but what is important that we have to stay unified. Last but not least, as a person who is trained in law, I believe that we should regulate people, because the purpose of the law is to regulate people and regulate the society. So peace-building structures are required to sustain peace, and that must be done through law. So I guess this is just a part of a poem, but there's a note saying that I should end. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, at least 15 minutes, to hear my presentation, and I'm willing to work together with all of you to ensure that peace building is in place, at least for the future of our generation. Thank you very much.